the same.
What do you mean?
Is it with a camera?
Yeah.
Me too.
Those?
Yeah, I just got them.
Ah, very good. Cool. You're the first other person I've met
But
to have them.
it's actually my friend who has the dog.
Yeah?
He has also it.
Okay.
Good. So,
Hey, Fred.
Vas-y, approche.
ok, je le mets pas là?
Non.
Ok, d'accord. Pardon. Je fais pas souvent des interviews.
Ouais. Non, mais il n'y a pas de souci. What's your name?
My name is Sarah.
Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah. Very good. I'm Eris.
Nice to meet you too.
This is Neo.
Hey, Neo.
Her name?
It's Ginger.
Ginger, right? We heard
Ginger.
That. We knew you were French.
It's the new dog.
Okay, Ginger.
Okay,
The dirty Ginger.
This is my friend Fred.
Right? Yeah,
Right.
nice to meet you.
Frédéric.
What? Ginger. Viens là, Ginger.
Sorry.
All right. What's the mind?
So the mind for me, what does that mean? You mean?
Yeah.
My mind is like, the mind, means like actually for me, it's quite large when I think about the mind. It's like the who you are, who you behave. How you behave. It's actually a way of living, I would say.
By the way, those are so much more stylish and cooler than my video.
Actually, it's not a good one because it's a combination or it's a collaboration with Meta. So I'm not sure if it's really good, but they are
Meta, like Facebook Meta.
Yeah. So we are actually having also an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, probably at the moment.
Yeah, right. He's a part of it. And Mark, comment your thoughts. Okay, so the mind, it's a lot of things. It's who you are, it's what you feel, it's how you behave, stuff like that.
Yeah, for me, it's actually a lot because it's all of what you think goes to your mind, all of what you feel goes to your mind. Whoa. So it's actually a lot of information for me. But of course, there are like a lot of expression also with what do you mind, what do you mind?
Let's stick on this one. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have pointed. Where is this mind system?
The mind, for me, I would say it's a bit basic, what I'm going to say, but for me, the mind is like inside my body, like everywhere.
It's like everywhere.
Yeah. Because this is what we are and who we are. Yeah.
And so what kind of effect, if I, so these processes, these thinking processes, how do those processes change if I cut off both of your arms?
Yeah, that's actually a good question because I've never been in the situation.
Okay.
but of course it will change because every single process or like situation or just like changement in your body could be physically or could be mentally. Change everything, change your vision, change your mind.
Even our interactions, right? Yeah. The people that we meet, the things that we eat.
Every second, absolutely. I would say, if you're on the road, you meet someone, something, or the light that you are looking at it, it change your mind, I think.
So I guess there are two ways, maybe, we could say that we could talk about two kinds of mind change. There's one where you give it new information, and then that changes the result, the output. Yeah. Another one is where you actually change the processing mechanisms, such that even if you gave it the same input, it would have a different output.
Yeah, totally.
So if we cut off your arms, that would be some major new information.
Oh, yes.
That would change the mind. Now, do you have processing, cognition processing mechanisms in your arm?
If I have it at the moment or like...
No, in general. Like I don't know, have you taken biology?
Oh, I wouldn't say... I don't think I have it. Or maybe I don't know, and that could be actually a good thing to learn, but I don't think so, no.
Okay, so where do you think most of your cognitive processing mechanisms are?
Where?
Yeah.
I would say, actually, it's a bit strange, but, also very basic, but for me, it's in my, it's mostly like in my head and like in my breathing.
Did you mean heart?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard head. Okay.
But also like a little bit, it's between my head and my heart.
And what do you know about the brain?
The brain, actually, it's kind of something that is very complicated. It's very complex. And that's why also I think everyone is very fascinated by the brain, and it's also like a bit scary sometimes. This is what I know, but of course everything is going through this area. Sadly, that's why it's very sensitive.
Why do you say sadly?
I mean, because it's kind of fragile, so everything goes there. But in the meantime, it's an area that is super fragile, so it's a bit risky.
Okay. So your interpretive mechanisms, are they mostly in your brain, or are they in your heart and stomach?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that I'm usually more thinking with my head, with my brain, but I'm trying to change and to think like differently, to use another part of the body, because it's better. Because if you keep everything in your head, it's not. I mean, I think it's a good
But are
idea.
we talking literally? Are you talking about literally thinking with another organ?
Like or like just like how you behave. If you just like if you think with another organ, I think that would be more interesting and safer.
Today, there have been times in the past where scientists or doctors thought that maybe we thought with the heart, for instance.
Yeah.
The Egyptians thought that the essence was in the heart. The brain, all it does is cool down blood. So they can go back into the heart and feed the heart.
Yeah, so you can just alternate and change a little bit, because that's why I think we are.
Well, no, because then if we move forward in the timeline of the understanding of the human body, if we move past like 3000 BC or whenever the that theory was at its peak, there aren't currently any biologists or psychologists that would say like a belief or a judgment happens in your knee.
Yeah, I mean, it never happened to me, but I do believe that it's true, because obviously we do like very basic exercise every day just to remove the stress, and obviously we say, okay, we need to feel everything from your feet to your brain to the knee. So obviously you can probably manage something like this.
Last question then. So if you're doing like a meditation, you're scanning the body.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, how is this part feeling? How is that feeling? Or maybe even no questions, just paying attention to this part, this part, and this part. What do you imagine is happening there? Is she moving?
I mean, I wish, and I try.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's really true, but obviously this is something that I try, like not say every day, but like almost.
Okay.
Because this is a good exercise also for your mind.
Yeah.
Even if your mind stay here, you have to realize that there are like different parts of your body, because we think so much with the head.
Yeah. Some psychologists and biologists believe that there is a strip here in the cortex. And each it's broken into subregions, and each subregion represents a part of the body. And so, for instance, if you take an electrode and you stimulate the part that you know is associated with the toe, the person will feel activity in their toe.
Like.
Or remember when I cut off your arms, there are people who, even though they don't have arms, they still feel their arms.
The connection are still activated.
Because this region is still having activity, even though it's not actually coming from the arms. So
I didn't know.
Is it then, based on that, would it be possible that when Sarah is scanning her body, that Sarah is a brain, and what's happening is activity is sort of just moving from one subregion to the next, each representing a part of the body?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I didn't know, like about this thing about the brain. So this is probably what's happening, because obviously it wouldn't surprise me, because usually we are trying to rationalize everything. So, and it's quite funny, because even if when we are thinking about the knee, we go back to the brain.
But and so sometimes I think people, sorry, I said that was the last question. But, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You're okay? All right. So we said,
for the connection and the separation in the
Oh yeah.
brain
So
when I'm
often
scanning.
we associate the brain with rationality, with not connecting with the external world. We talk about being in our head,
Yeah.
being heady, and so on. And when I've asked people about what the brain is, some of the most popular answers are: one, it like controls your organs. Two, it is how you know things. Like basically, it's just a box of knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Three, when you want to be rational, that's what this is.
Yeah.
How rational do you think that he is?
The dog.
Yeah,
I think they're pretty rational.
they're pretty rational.
More than us, probably.
Do you think so?
I mean, I do believe in dogs and I love animals.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, usually they are like the animals and then the humans. So I think they're pretty
I have a
rational.
preference for that,
Yeah.
but I don't know that on the rationality scale that I would put dogs above humans. And that would be because, like, for instance, if we did a test where in that black cart there,
Yeah.
I put some food, and he saw me put some food in there.
Yeah.
I took some of the juices of the food and I smeared it on the trunk of the silver car there.
Yeah.
You don't think that might be confusing for him? You don't think he might go over to that silver car even though that's completely irrational if he wants to have some of that deliciousness?
It's true. No, I'm not sure, but I think they are rational because they go straight to the point to make sure that it's efficient. They want to eat. They are hungry. They eat. They don't try to go to find something on the side. They just find for food. But it's true. If there is a trick like this, like in this situation that you just mentioned, I think it will be, of course, confusing for certain animals because.
So, you think that if they had a language cortex as developed, well, where does language come from?
From the dog?
No, in general, for any animal. Where does it exist in the body?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I don't know.
Okay, it exists here.
Okay.
Okay, so if he had an area like this as developed as mine, you think he'd be more rational than us? So then if we wanted to discuss things, he'd be able to do better syllogisms than humans.
Yeah, you will have like more concept about like life. Like maybe, I don't know, for me, like he would have the idea of love. Like we have, actually. Maybe he has another idea.
Where does love happen?
I mean, for us, in terms of human, being human, this is something that it's very complex, but I'm not sure that animals, they need like the same love that we expect or the same idea that we have.
Well, how would you define love? Like, what is it?
It's very complex. Actually, I was thinking about it like last week. It depends for who, but if it's for me, I would say someone that I care about it.
Yeah.
Like that I would do like everything that I just respect, and for me that's kind of the concept. But I think there are more stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find also.
All right, let me tell you a story, and then I'll really let you go. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So there's a guy. What should we call him?
Like Brandon.
Brandon. That's great. That's a great name. Have you lived in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Are French people using that name these days?
No, but it's typical American.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it's not Brandon in the kitchen. It's Brian who's in the kitchen. Then.
Yeah, Brian is in the kitchen as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So Brandon, he has a lovely family. He loves his mom. Mm-hmm. But I have some bad news. He was in a car accident. He survived. Okay.
Really?
And you're his mom, by the way.
Oh.
Okay, you're his mom, yeah. So Brandon's over here. We're about to go into his room. Mm-hmm. I just want to tell you, he hit his head.
Oh, okay.
And so there may have been some damage. Me, a doctor, I believe that the human, mostly sort of all the mental stuff, the feeling stuff, all that stuff is brain networks. So I know that since he had damage to his brain, who knows what the effects might be.
Yeah.
So we walk in. This is real story. Okay. So we walk into the room. Hey, Brandon. Say hi to your son.
Hi, honey.
Yeah,
How's it going?
Yeah. What do you mean that's not your mother? He's saying it's not you. That's weird.
Yeah.
Wait, look at her. Look at her. Here, pull out your ID. Look at her. Show. oh wait, he's saying it's not you.
Oh.
And if you listen to Brandon, he's saying that she looks exactly like my mom, but I know that it's an imposter, somebody pretending to be my mom.
Oh.
That's weird.
That would be awkward.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I'm doing some research. All right, you want me to explain what's going on with your son?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. Basically, visual information hits the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay? It gets sent. One of the places that it gets sent to is the occipital lobe here is vision.
Yeah.
Okay. And then here is what we have a temporal parietal junction, a little region here. And somewhere between the occipital lobe and that temporal parietal junction, faces are recognized. Or is it just in the temporal parietal junction? Anyway, faces are recognized. So that's where the image is received of the face, and this part of the brain says, that's Sarah, my mother. Okay. Then that information then gets sent to what's called the amygdala, which is a structure in the center of the brain associated with emotions. So then that gets sent there, and the amygdala says, okay, so you said this is Sarah, and this is the mother, and then this is how we feel about Sarah. And then the amygdala sends that on.
Wow.
Okay? Here's what happened with your son, and I am so sorry. In the car accident, the connection between the facial processing center and the emotional center was severed from the injury. And so that's why he knows that it's you, as in he knows it looks just like you. His brain is going, this is Sarah, my mother, except it doesn't get to the emotional center. So he's looking at you and he has no emotions about you. And his brain doesn't know what to do that. So his brain makes up a story saying she must be an imposter.
That's
wearing.
So scary, no?
It's called Capgras delusion, Capgras peut-être en français.
Okay.
There's another one where it's that, except all this occipital lobe, all the information, all the visual processing information, none of it makes it to the emotional center. So these people are walking around, they're like, hey, that's a tree. That's a person that looks like Sarah, blah, blah. But they're having no emotional response to everything. This one's called cotards.
But they were born like this, those ones.
No, this is trauma as well, typically. I mean, I guess it could happen with some misencoding or something happening.
They will never be able to have emotion.
Well, they sort of have emotions, but visual information won't stimulate the emotion.
That's not very practical, I would say.
And so, they end up starving to death because the brain always has to come up with a story, an explanation, even if it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
And I see that in a lot of my conversations, anyway, it doesn't have to make any sense, but the brain likes to come up with a story. And so basically, this story that this person came up with, without knowing that it was a bad story, was, I'm dead. I'm a ghost. That's why I'm not feeling anything about this world, because I'm not really here. And so they'll go around, they'll observe, they'll get a kick out of observing, but they won't eat because they just really don't believe they need to eat because they're dead.
Yeah. That's why usually they get bored really easily because they don't.
Oh, these people don't exist much. I mean, they exist, but we haven't met one.
Yeah, but I mean, some people, they can get bored very easily.
Sure. With ADHD, it's an issue where the reward system in the brain isn't working sort of in the same way as for other humans. And so for them, what might bring you pleasure, for instance, won't bring them pleasure. And so they need more. They always need more. They get bored more easily.
No, but that's quite interesting because this is something that I'm not reading a lot, but kind of ADHD.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone is talking about this all the time because I think there are more and more people in today, or maybe before we didn't really pay attention. But it's a subject to me that it's very interesting because obviously we always want more.
Here's the hard thing about ADHD, and it's sort of like with depression. See, some diseases or some conditions, like if you're missing both your arms, everybody can see that. Nobody's going to ask you, hey, can you pass me the salt?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And then there are other ones like Parkinson's. You're moving like this. Nobody's going to say, hey, you want to run a marathon with me?
Yeah.
Okay. But then there are ones because for those we've accepted, this is your body and it's been changed. End of story. Okay. For Parkinson's, we have a certain understanding of the brain and we're like, okay, that's not really the person. That's just their brain that's affected.
Oh.
And so we talk about, maybe the person's still in there and so on, right? So we're able to imagine Parkinson's and arms as being exterior to the person. Depression and ADHD, we're not yet in 2023 ready to understand those things. For us, things like motivation, focus, all the different traits of ADHD, the ability to just get out of bed in the morning, all those things are basic human soul abilities.
Yeah.
And so you can't not have those. It's incomprehensible to people how someone could say, oh, I have ADHD. Stop it. Just get your shit together, blah, blah.
Yeah, but there is something really blocking inside.
Well, and sometimes we'll phrase it that way. We'll say there's something inside blocking the magical soul of the person.
Yeah.
But what if? What if we're not magic? What if we're not souls? What if I'm literally talking to a brain right now?
Yeah.
That would kind of explain everything. It would explain why every single time in the history of the world, when we see damage to the brain, we see a change to anything, the person's personality, the person's philosophy, the person's memories, anything.
Yeah, all the traumas goes there. This is why I think it's kind of scary that everything goes through the brain, because we have no other option sometimes, sadly.
Well, anyway, it's cool to know, though. It's like, oh, okay, so we are brains. So the more we understand about brains, the more we can understand about us and how to get better and stuff.
And to fix
Yeah, exactly. But so long as we tell ADHD kids, there's nothing, ADHD is made up, you're just not feeling like it, you're just not doing what interests you or whatever. And as long as we don't say, actually, it's this system in the brain that's happening, blah, blah, blah. How are they going to make progress? They're just going to keep their whole lives going to go, if I just focus hard enough, if I just want it badly enough.
And it puts a lot of pressure on people, or especially with kids like this. Like, of course, obviously, before some people, they were like taking medicine called Ritalin.
Yeah, Ritalin.
And actually, I don't think that was the solution. Maybe it was for a certain time, but it's true. Then we have to oblige people to make sure they can like focus for an hour, because the society is like this.
Speaking of which, we've gone well over, especially because Fred isn't following, so he's been standing there nice enough holding that camera. So we'll stop there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you my card so that you can send me a message. I'll send you the link with the video.
Amazing.
And we can continue the conversation too, eh?
Interesting question. I love it.
Very good.